Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 339. My name is Brando. Welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Marc LaBelle. How are you, sir?
Hanging in there in beautiful Columbus, Ohio today.
Okay.
Just enjoying a rather gloomy day, but it's actually kind of nice out. So
You're on the road, obviously. Did you play last night? What was the most recent show with you and Wolfgang?
we had a night off last night in Chicago, and then we played Chicago the night before last. So that was a pretty good one for sure.
All right.
It's tough. Kansas City's been the best crowd so far, I gotta say. I'm pretty pumped about Kansas City these days.
Oh, okay. I have yet to go to Kansas City. I haven't made my way down there. But Chicago, I've started to visit because my fiance, she's from Chicago. How was the show there? Like, did you?
Chicago is really good. It's always tough after you have like an amazing crowd to go anywhere else and accurately judge it, unbiasedly, from the crowd you had the night before or whatever. But Chicago is always really good. That's like a really good city for us, especially. So, it's fun and it's a great town. I love Chicago. So, we had a blast. We stayed there for the day off and then came in here late last night and getting ready to see what Columbus has to offer because we haven't played here in a while. So
it just sounds like the Young Guns tour is going really smooth right now.
It is. No issues. It is. Tonight's sold out. So, we're obviously looking forward to that. And obviously Columbus is a great rock and roll town too. So should be a good one.
Okay. There's another state I wanted you to talk about because it's where you did and this is what I didn't have a chance to talk to you last time, and that's Minnesota, and that's where you did the All-Star game. You played Prince's "Let's Go Crazy" or "Go Crazy." Can you tell me about that experience? Because we were talking a little bit off the air, and my listeners know. Yeah, it's a GNR themed podcast, but I talk about hockey any chance that I get. I love hockey.
Me too.
I haven't been to an outdoor game yet, so tell me about that whole experience.
Yeah, so we didn't do it at the Winter Classic, at the actual game. The game was in Minneapolis, and we actually filmed in Duluth like 2 weeks before. On this frozen lake. It was freezing. It was unbearably cold, even for an upstate New Yorker like myself. But we had a blast. TNT reached out to us, maybe we do something, a little ode to Prince for the game. And, once we figured out musically how to make the song somewhat our own, put our own little spin on it, we thought it was a cool thing to do. So that song is becoming like a highlight of the live show for whatever reason. It's just a really good live riff. It's got good feel, and people are obviously familiar with a very famous song. So it's been definitely a shining light in the live set. So,
but you do it different. It's not like I'm hearing just a band play "Go Crazy."
Yeah, we definitely do more rock and roll for sure.
It was a rocking song to begin with, but with your voice, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes if you do it different than the artist, or especially Prince, it's just like, whoa, what is this? But I found myself trapped and enthralled in. I'm like, wow, if I didn't know it was a Prince song, it would just sound like like an organic, dirty.
Totally.
Honey.
And that's what you want to do. Anytime you tackle a cover, I kind of feel like we didn't do that with Last Child because it's kind of already in our wheelhouse, the Aerosmith song. So, to tackle something else and put your own spin on it was something that, if we were going to do it, we wanted to do it in that way and have a unique version of it out there instead of just doing the more pop sound that Prince, recorded 30, 40 years ago. So once we got our hooks in on that, like the heaviness of the riff, that's where it all kind of took off. Yeah.
So where upstate are you from? Because I'm a New Yorker, but I'm basically, tri-state, Long Island, Brooklyn, and Queens now.
Yeah.
But I know upstate is a different world. So where are you from?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm from Albany. So I grew up, like 2.5 hours north of the city. And, that's where I fell in love with music, obviously going to shows at SPAC in Saratoga. And it was called the Pepsi Arena at the time. think it's called something else now, but yeah, that's where it all began.
So how come you're not a Sabres fan or a Canadian? Like, so like I'm a little confused because you're wearing a Penguins beanie
Yeah.
right now. So where does your allegiance lie?
Well, so I'm truthfully way closer to Long Island and New York and Montreal and Boston for that matter, than I would be to Buffalo. But
okay.
yeah, I grew up playing hockey. I was a goalie, and I just loved the gear. You always love the gear. So like my dad painted my first goalie helmet as like Marty Brodeur's flame. Like he did it himself. He did like the flames up the side of the helmet, and it was our youth hockey logo on top, in the middle, and it was really cool. But I fell in love with like Tom Barrasso at a super young age. I just loved his helmet. He had like a penguin on the helmet, and that's what I gravitated towards and started collecting. And I've loved the Penguins ever since. They had a lot of dark years there, though, going through like the 90s and the 2000s.
You're talking to an Islanders fan. They haven't won a cup since
Yeah,
I was born.
You guys have had some dark years. Yeah.
I thought we were going to be good. The last couple of years, they were
I
close to
know.
the finals. And then this year, I mean, we beat the Rangers as we were recording this last night. We beat the Rangers last night. So that's usually our victory every year. It's just beating the Rangers. It's just like, because I can't help it because I love hockey. And I'm really curious when you were young, because I always like to talk about how a person becomes, the path that they're on. So was there ever a chance that you wanted to be a hockey player? Because you started like real young too, at like 5. If I read that right?
I started skating when I was like, I think when I was 2, because my older brother played. But I played goalie, and I'm not a very big guy. I'm only like 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. And so lacrosse was actually the sport I played with any sort of seriousness. Also Long Island, obviously all my friends are from Long Island and stuff. But then, once I moved to LA and I was playing in like some pickup lacrosse games and stuff and some pickup hockey games, and just lacrosse isn't a very fun sport to play with people that don't really know what they're doing, especially as an attackman with guys whacking you with a big pole. Like it wasn't fun at all. And, the good ones are more like positionally sound and like only really like hit you if like they see an opportunity to get the ball, and then bad players are trying to hurt you, which wasn't fun. So then I started playing hockey a lot more when I moved to LA, and man, I met my manager that way playing hockey. I've met so many great like film and music and TV industry people. Like it literally has blown my mind, the opportunities like I've had from playing hockey in LA. It's crazy.
I love that. And is that how the All-Star game came about? Because it's like out of all the bands, like they got it right. Here's the thing. They got it right with you. Sometimes an All-Star game will hire Machine Gun Kelly, and it's just like fans are just like, why?
I know that kind of fell flat. I saw that thing. It's just, it doesn't quite fit. But I think what was happening was the producer from TNT he's a big hockey fan, and obviously being the guy that runs, the production stuff for the NHL on TNT, he listens to like these podcasts that we kept coming up on, and he told us he'd been a fan for a really long time anyway. And then we kept coming up like in his immediate consciousness, on these podcasts, and he was like, we got to do something with those guys. So when the opportunity presented itself, he was like, do you guys want to do this Prince thing? I think it could be cool, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. That's
cool. Did you get to go to the game after? I know you were out on a pond.
I didn't go to that one. I've been to a couple of the outdoor events. I went to the one in Pittsburgh a while back. Man, that was maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. I went to one in Chicago. I've been to one in Boston. I've been to quite a few of them. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Right on. Now we just got to is your next goal in life to have, who's the goalie for the Penguins now? I was almost said Fleury, but it's not Fleury anymore. Tristan Jarry. Yeah. That's right.
No, so I have a goalie that you're probably not too fond of, possibly joining us in New York to come play. So we'll see. We'll see if he does or not.
Could I guess? Would you say that if I guessed?
I think you probably know who it is.
Is it Henrik Lundqvist? Is it
Could be,
Lundqvist?
it could be. It could be. I'm not gonna.
He's, you know what? He's handsome. He's a good man. He's like, you know what? There's always like a, as like a Yankees fan. I know. I don't know why that's the first thing that I said. You know, my fiance is. She's
well, he
right
is
here.
handsome.
You know what? I'm glad he didn't win a cup. I hate to say that as an Islander fan, but he deserved to win one, if that makes sense. Like, he's just an all-time great. So, you know.
Yeah, he definitely did. And he's a good buddy, and he's been nothing but supportive, like even way before we had anything going on. So,
and I saw him play guitar. That's right on. Very cool. All right. So maybe I'll become more of a fan.
He can play.
Now that he's retired. Okay.
Hank can play. That's for sure.
Growing up then, because see, here's the interesting crossroads. Okay, here's an athlete that wants to be the rock star, and you're the rock star. I mean, you were an athlete younger, so I mean, did you always know that you wanted to sing and be in a band, or did you ever? Hockey might have been maybe, even you were better at lacrosse, you could be pro in lacrosse, but did you ever want to be an athlete as well? Did that ever?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was. I just
a pro athlete, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that would have been in the cards for me ever. It's just making the transition from like goalie to skating out. When I did, probably put the kibosh on any sort of possibility for that. But at the same time, though, like music was always a passion, even if like it was hockey season or football season or lacrosse season. I was always in bands, rehearsing and like playing at school functions and, you know, always playing guitar. That was always a thing for me. I always had electric guitars, you know. I would play like right before I would leave to go to whatever game. That was always like a way to get in the zone. So, you know, music and sports go hand in hand, and especially like hockey and rock and roll for whatever reason they're right there with each other. It's that arena rock thing, you know, it just works in that atmosphere. And, you know, I go to games all the time. I'll probably go to a game tomorrow. I'm for sure going to hear Guns N' Roses. I'm going to hear Joker and the Thief. I'm going to hear Metallica. I'm going to hear Aerosmith. I'm going to hear AC/DC. Like, they'll all be there, especially here in Columbus, I'm sure.
You're right. And I guess it's a nice organic segue into, and you can say whatever you want to or don't want to say, because you're just a nice guy and I'm not looking for anything clickbaity per se. But when you have all these bands that are played in the arena, a lot of them are rock. I know they're not all rock, but then you'll have, and I mentioned before, he's obviously very popular. Machine Gun Kelly play the NHL and the NBA, and it's just I don't know. I'm seeing what's on social media. It may not be what everyone sees. Obviously, again, he's very successful. How do you feel about somebody, or even like a Miley Cyrus, who's very successful, go into this rock world now, where we've been talking about, you've been doing it since you were little. You've been, you know, I can't play, but I've been, you know, listening to rock, and that's been my passion since music became part of my life. So it may be silly. Is it kind of like a possessive? No, this was mine first. You know, almost like an ownership of rock and roll. Or do you even not care? It's like whoever wants to play whatever. It's not a big deal.
You know, it's tough because you know, to your point, yeah, I did feel possessive, especially about an artist like Chris Cornell and Soundgarden and everything. And you know, I went to the Chris Cornell tribute at the Forum a few years back, and they're like, here's Miley Cyrus. She's going to sing Say Hello to Heaven with us. And everybody was like, what the fuck? This is whack, you know? And then she comes out and kills it. And you're like, damn, like, yeah, she just earned my respect for sure. And like, I do feel a genuity in like her passion for rock and roll. Like, I know she loves Joan Jett. I mean, she literally like tries to look like Joan Jett now. You know, so that can't come from a bad place. And, you know, she's been famous her entire life. Like, I don't know if she might just be discovering some of this stuff now. I don't know what she's been exposed to. You know, she's probably been, you know, I didn't grow up, but like I've been around film sets with, you know, kids, and like they're very sheltered. They're not like a part of what I would call the real world, where you like go to a normal school and like have friends and get exposed to stuff organically. They're like around adults all the time and like going to school on set. And that was probably her life for most of her childhood. So she could be like on this new discovery path, and that's cool. Machine Gun Kelly, like, I don't know. The music's not for me. I don't care if you like it, go enjoy it. But yeah, that's never going to be for me. The guy like literally can't even play a guitar. It's a joke. But he's got Travis Barker behind him, so he's doing something right.
Travis is, I think he works on, I mean, you could probably collaborate with him tomorrow if you wanted. It seems like he's just collaborating with everybody.
He's moving around. Yeah, no, I don't mean to like shit on him at all, but yeah, it's music is what it is. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea.
It's just because it's interesting. My age, I think we're around the same. I'm 38, and you know, a lot of the prime of my high school were these pop punk bands, and I loved a lot of them. You know, Newfound Glory and MXPX, and going back further into what punk was, and it's just very strange to see that all of a sudden this pop punk make a revival. Seeing Willow Smith, you know, and it's like I was made fun of for liking this stuff going to Hot Topic before, and I guess the way I think about it, to piggyback on what we were just talking about, it's like, you know, we put in this kind of time into it almost, and then all of a sudden now it's like people are almost running with this thing that wasn't cool, and I don't know. I guess we're all, as rock fans, we want that almost to be the most popular thing. Like that's what we said the same thing at every Super Bowl. Like, why isn't a rock band playing? So it's just always, I don't know, strange of who gets into the forefront of rock when there's so many bands like Dirty Honey and Wolfgang Van Halen, you know, or Mammoth WVH, I should say. It's like they're not going to get the same kind of press as Machine Gun Kelly based on what? I guess that's kind of what, to summarize it. It's like, why?
Yeah, because it's because of who he's dating. That like who he dates makes him more marketable. It's that's just the way the world is. Like, I mean, the world was interested in like Jim Carrey and Jenny McCarthy when they were dating. The world is interested in what's his name, Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian. Like, it's got nothing to do with their work or their art. It's like they're a viable commodity for like magazines, like People or something, because they're the like some of these two people being together is more interesting than them doing anything on their own. Apparently, I don't know. I don't really care about that, you know, but I'm definitely aware that Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox are dating. It's like all you see everywhere on like social media and stuff. It's like, what? I don't care, you know.
It's more of just when I see it at the grand scheme of things, and again, Dirty Honey on tour with Wolfgang Van Halen, and just how great you guys are, and you've been around for a few years now, and you'll see the revival of rock from these bands, and I'm just like, they're not really rock. So it's just,
I wouldn't consider that what he's doing like rock and roll at all. You know, I think he's more experimenting in the genre, and he's having success with it, and you know, more power to him. Like you know, I think it was, who was the guy? Oh God, totally drawing a blank. From Slipknot, Corey Taylor was what he was kind of throwing shade at him for like jumping genres. You know, it seems like it's easier to do that these days because it's easier to make music if it's not like really soulful. You know, you can fake playing guitar. Clearly, you can call Travis Barker to be on a session, and he doesn't even have to come to the same studio that you're at. He can just track drums from his house in LA or whatever. I would imagine, you know, you can create a beat and like have a hit rap song in 10 minutes if you want to. You know, you can experiment in that way with technology now, so it's not so much of a jump. But you know, he's bringing some awareness to the genre. That's cool, that's for sure. But you know, like I said, the music's definitely not my cup of tea.
Well, I'm glad that you are rooted in such this classic rock and roll sound and bringing back fresh.
To be fair to him, there's not much you know, contemporary music that really is my cup of tea. So it's no fault of his. It's just a sign of the times, I guess. I'm more interested in something that like Harry Styles is doing than any of the like rock stuff. You know, I'm a big I love what he's doing. I think it's fucking cool. He's like doing stuff with a purpose, and he's like helping people come out, you know, of the closet at his shows. Like, that's cool to me. I'm all for that shit. You're like you're actually like creating art and doing stuff that's changing people's lives in a good way. So that's cool.
Right on, right on. And I think some would say the same thing about you, Marc LaBelle. Some would say
I
that.
hope so. We'll see. I mean, I don't know what I've done in that way, but I'd be more than happy to help if I could.
Well, if anything, just to completely shift gears, because I think it wasn't released last time we spoke, was the latest video, Another Last Time. And it's just a really cool watch. It's like a movie. It really is a mini movie that's just shot so well. Can you talk about that experience? Because it was just a certain amount of takes. I'm reading it was a super long day. Everything had to be timed exactly right.
Yeah.
Can you just...
Yeah, it was we had this one shot like philosophy that we were going into the shoot with, and we were trying to do this one continuous steady cam move throughout this motel and tell these 4 stories of addiction that are happening in real time at a motel room. And yeah, it was quite the undertaking. Took a lot of rehearsal, obviously, and once you get there and you start going through the camera movements and seeing it play out like on the monitor and realizing that this is actually doable, you just have to nail it. It's a lot like getting a proper take of a song, instead of like cutting it together with 1,000 different pieces,
Okay. Because watching it, I rewatched it today. And of course, with me and the podcast, there were certain scenes that made me think of certain Guns N' Roses videos, certain like outside, I think it was the Estranged video where they're outside the gun shop, just like hotels. Mm-hmm. So there's my terrible trend. I got some good segues during this conversation. There's my first one. Because sorry for spending so much time on MJK, as the kids say. We spoke about last time, like how Slash influenced you, like what you learned rather, touring with him as a younger band. But we didn't talk about Guns N' Roses at all. The shows that you did in Las Vegas. Can you talk about that experience opening for GNR?
It was awesome. Like that's obviously a huge look and great experience. But for me, I've always been, Vegas was tough because it's at a casino. Truthfully, like the casino doesn't want people in there watching the opening band. They want people out on the casino floor losing their money. So, you're kind of playing to like a quarter full like arena at the casino. So it wasn't the greatest vibe. But you still get that like sense of what it would be like for it to be full, and by the end of it, maybe like your last song, it's pretty full and people are like appreciating what you're doing. That's always cool. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. I got to like meet Axl backstage and like talk to him for like 20 minutes. It was unreal, but that was like once in a lifetime for sure.
Of course, what stays, it's conversation between two people. That's private. But is there anything that you could tell us, maybe what you spoke about talking to Axl, what that was?
We were just bullshitting. Talking about fucking Netflix and, music and just a bunch of random stuff, how the show went. He he was talking about his experience that night and asked me about mine, of course. And, just random stuff. And then I just kind of felt like, I'm always conscious of taking up somebody like that famous, their time. Like, I don't want to be a burden on their time. So I pick my exit before I overstay my welcome,
Look at that. The welcome to my world. I try to do that, with my terrible segues, transitions, not take up too much of your time. So that's why I'm curious. I can't let this go. When you talk about Netflix, what's the Netflix conversation? Is you binge watching something? Are you like, what did you bond over? Like catching up Better Call Saul or
Peaky Blinders, The Sopranos we were talking about, I remember. Just stuff like that.
Okay.
He had just seen Peaky Blinders and he was like really jacked up about
it. Cool. All right. See, those little things. I love those little, because it's so relatable. My brothers yell at me that I haven't watched Peaky Blinders yet, but I just watched Pam and Tommy. I don't know if that counts.
How was it?
Honestly, it was really good. I know Pam and Tommy, like I know them. Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, they're very much against it. And I watched it with a grain of salt, things, the obvious of the tape being stolen like that, but it was so good. The actors were on point. I wanted more episodes, honestly.
Nice.
So if you're on a
That's
third
cool.
time, let me know what you think about it.
All right, I'll check it out.
Very cool. Anything on because you're obviously in the middle of a tour. Anything else are you writing right now, or is there anything we can look forward to from Dirty Honey?
Yeah, we always sound check some new stuff every day. I'm sure we'll do it today. So yeah, there's always a constant writing process happening, and yeah, I'm kind of anxious to see if we get one of them like fully done before the tour is over and like play it. I think we will.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to end here though. Who's your favorite Penguin of all time? I need to ask.
I mean, of all time?
Yeah, all time.
Oh man, just because he's on the team, it's got to be Sid right now. 3 cups. I mean, come on.
Okay, all right. I was hoping for a Lemieux.
Fleury would have been a close second.
Okay, all right. Maybe you're a little younger. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Well, these days I'm closer to 30 than I am 20 now. So fuck.
Oh, fair enough. I think that's why. All right. You know what? I don't know why. I was like, I think I consider myself younger still in my head, and not realizing I'm like a year and a half away from 40. So, all right.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You carry it well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You missed the Yager years. You missed the mullet years. Those were the
yeah. No, I've seen the pics, of course. He was like 90s. Yeah, that was super. He might have been on the team in the late 90s.
I know he came back for a while, and here's what's great. He's still playing, just not in the NHL.
Yeah. No, I saw him do a video to Ovi the other day. It's pretty good.
Right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Oh man, I guess
awesome.
Oh, I love that. All right, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. I hope we get to do this again. Just continue success. I hope you have a continued great tour. I'm sure I'll see you out when you're, completely on the East Coast. I know you're in Middle America right now. To see you.
Come to New York City, man. We'll be there a couple weeks.
Yeah, right on. You and Mammoth WVH, just 2 of the best rock bands on the planet today. So just thank you so much for your time.
All right, man. Be good.
You got it. Mark's a really cool dude. I was looking forward to the second conversation this time around. And for those of you who don't like hockey, sorry. I had to take the opportunity to talk hockey. Any chance that I get, especially with a rock star, it's just so fun. And just to figure out if he did have an opportunity to, how good he was. And I didn't know about lacrosse. Being from Long Island myself, and since he mentioned he knows a lot of people from Long Island, lacrosse is huge there. Absolutely. And you can go pro. I mean, absolutely. But yeah, with that voice and his talent, yeah, I obviously start a band and do that. But to talk about something else that you can connect on, and that's what he did when he met Axl, connecting on Netflix. Don't I ask that question verbatim sometimes to guests? Like, what are you watching right now? I know it's so silly and maybe even a lazy question, but we all do it. We're all watching something. Even it brings up an answer of, I'm not watching TV, I'm reading books. It's just going to solicit something that you could relate to on that level and that you might not get from every interview where they're just talking about the music or whatever they're promoting. So this was a lot of fun to speak with Mark. And we'll see if we get an extended interview with Wolfgang Van Halen as well. Nothing cooking, just putting that out there in the universe. As we spoke to Mark and Wolfgang, I don't know, like a month or so ago for 10 minutes to kick off the tour. So it was really nice to talk to Mark on the road, that it worked out. And let me say, before I wrap up this episode, thanks for all the kind words about the Beth Hart interview. It's a lot to take in. She is just an awesome person, doesn't hold anything back, and made my job easier and helped me bring my guard down to create a better interview, to ask those certain questions, to talk about a certain topic in a way that I perhaps might not have been comfortable if she wasn't as cool as she was. So if you haven't checked it out, recent interview with Beth Hart. What is to come, though, on the podcast? I could tell you this. We're going to be talking to Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen, along with his wife, Lauren Monroe. Lauren and Rick are on tour right now for my friends, my bad apples in New York, here in New York with me, or if you're in Philadelphia, if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, they're on tour doing this really awesome art show with music and wine. So we'll be talking to them about that. Of course, our 6 degrees of GNR bacon and anything else that comes up. I'm actually going to use the opportunity to talk to them about marriage, get some marriage advice. I mean, if they've been together for a while, they're out there literally making beautiful music together. Maybe they got some fun tips for me. We'll see. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. The conversation continues in between broadcasts. Appetite. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Follow and subscribe on YouTube. You can always leave a review on Facebook, or if you listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. If there's a place to leave a comment or a review, please do so. I see them, and I thank you. I try to at least acknowledge them, like them. I don't always have time to give a full response that some of your comments deserve, but I at least definitely acknowledge every single message that gets to me. And again, all the lovely comments about the Beth Hart interview, because as I mentioned after I spoke with her in that same episode, just wasn't sure how it was going to be received due to the nature of some of the, other than the 6 degrees of GNR bacon, we spoke about some serious stuff, which I'm okay with. Not everybody is, but I think we've got a good crew here on Appetite for Distortion. So that does it. When will we see the next episode? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it, I don't know, as soon as the word.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.